Alright, buckle up because it's Flashcard Friday and things are about to get real random. We've got a whole pile of unpredictable Celtics topics lined up and we're diving in without knowing what's coming next. That's the fun of it. It's pure chaos, it's off heccuff, and we're doing it Celtics style. So let's just jump right in because the first flashcard that came up is one that's been lingering in the back of every Celtics fan's mind for a while now. Jason Tatum's wrist. Yeah, that wrist again. It's been a quiet storyline, but also a constant one. If you've been watching the Celtics for the last few years, you've probably noticed it. Taped up, wrapped up, padded. That wrist's been through a lot. And yet not a single report about surgery, not even whispers. Now that's interesting, right? Because if it were something serious, if it were something that absolutely needed to be addressed, we'd expect to see a medical update, a timeline, maybe even some off-season procedure. But so far nothing. So we're left to wonder, is this something that just won't go away? Is it manageable, chronic? Or just one of those nagging things that only time can truly fix? The truth is that wrist has probably never had a chance to really rest. Think about Tatum's schedule for the last few years. Season after season, deep playoff runs, then Team USA commitments, off-season workouts. Media duties repeat. There's been no real break. So now after the Achilles injury, which let's be honest is a major deal, he's finally had time off. Like real time off, not 2 weeks in the Bahamas. We're talking months without the pounding and stress that comes from NBA basketball. And maybe, just maybe, that's been the silver lining in this injury mess, giving his wrist the quiet rehab it's needed all along. We've seen him posting videos. He's in the gym, moving, lifting, swinging kettlebells, doing resistance work. From the outside, everything looks okay. The wrist isn't being babied, and that's a good sign. No signs of inflammation, no awkward movement, no hesitations. But of course, fans still worry. That's what we do. Now here's a question that came up during the conversation, and it's one of those that no one really has an answer to unless they've got a PhD. Can a body heal to significant injuries at once? Can Tatum's body really focus on both the Achilles and the wrist at the same time and get both right? It's a fair question. But when you look at the level of athlete we're talking about here, we're talking elite genetics, elite resources, elite recovery plans. Yeah, it's possible. Tatum's body is built differently than most. The man is a machine, and if he's confident in it, that confidence trickles down. The people around him say it's nothing serious. He's said it himself. So until something comes out to suggest otherwise, we ride with that. And honestly, if there was even a sliver of concern from the Celtics medical staff, from Tatum's own trainers, or from Tatum himself, we'd know he's too important to this franchise. But so far it's been crickets. So maybe, just maybe, this is the year we stop seeing that tape on his wrist every single night. Or maybe we'll keep seeing it, but it won't matter because he'll still be dropping 30 a night. Either way, it doesn't look like a major worry right now. But let's keep it moving because the next flashcard that came up was one that really got us talking. Peyton Pritchard's passing. Now this is a fascinating one, because when you think of Pritchard, the first thing that comes to mind is energy, speed, hustle, shooting. He's the guy who comes and sparks a run, hits a deep three, and gets the crowd going. But his passing, that's not usually part of the headline, but maybe it should be. Because this offseason, all the signs point to him working hard on that part of his game. And if you've followed Pritchard even a little, you know this guy lives in the gym, like lives there. He's putting in work that most guys don't even consider. The problem, passing isn't something you can master alone in a dark gym at 2 in the morning. You can't pass to imaginary teammates. You need real reps, real reads, real defenders rotating, real teammates cutting. That's where the growth happens. And that's why this upcoming season might be the most important one of Pritchard's career. Because if he wants to evolve from a bench spark to a trusted playmaker, this is the time. It's not about being flashy. It's not about throwing highlight passes. It's about reading the floor, drawing help, and making the right decision. And that's not easy, especially when you've built your career on being a scorer. But that's the leap. That's the next level. And it's one that could make him an even more essential piece for the Celtics this year. We've seen flashes of it already. He's more comfortable attacking the paint now. He's finding shooters on the perimeter. He's not just looking to score every time he gets into the lane, but that consistency, that next-level decision-making, that's still a work in progress. And look, not everyone's wired to be a pass-first guy. Some guys just have it. It's instinct. You know it when you see it. The Luka Doncics of the world. The Lebrons, the guys who feel the game like musicians feel rhythm. That's not Pritchard, and that's okay. Because there's still a lane for guys who develop the skill even if they don't have the gene. Think of Jason Tatum. He wasn't a natural passer when he entered the league. He's still not an elite playmaker, but he's worked his way into becoming a really good one. Good enough to make defenses think twice, good enough to collapse a defense and find the open man. That's what Pritchard needs to aim for, and here's the interesting part. When you're a gym rat like Pritchard, the areas that improve most are the ones you can grind out alone. Shooting, ball handling, conditioning, those are the things he's mastered. But passing, that's about experience, about playing with others, about messing up and learning. So it's no surprise that his biggest leap might come now that he's expected to have a bigger role, more minutes, more responsibility. And honestly, the Celtics could really use that. Because right now you've got Jason Tatum, who can pass, Jaylen Brown, who's improving, and Derek White, who can run an offense. But if Pritchard can be that fourth guy, someone who can come and break down a defense and get others involved, that unlocks a whole new layer for this offense. It gives them depth, it gives them options, it gives them flexibility. And speaking of passing and flexibility, it brought up an even bigger conversation. Because we ended up drawing a parallel between Pritchard and Tatum again. Tatum wasn't born a playmaker, he learned it, and the coaching staff helped him see the game differently. It wasn't about reinventing who he was, it was about teaching him. Hey, you've already created the advantage, now make the most of it. Instead of driving into a double team every time, pull back, read the floor, and punish the help defense. That's the evolution, and it's something Pritchard can chase too. Of course, there's a gap in talent. Tatum's a superstar, Pritchard's a role player, but the mindset, the growth, that's where the comparison holds up. Because the foundation is there, the work ethic is there. Now it's just about experience, coaching, and opportunity, and that's what this season is going to be all about for him. A chance to prove that he can be more than a microwave scorer, that he can see the floor, that he can elevate the guys around him, and if he does, watch out. All right, we're not slowing down. Let's pick things back up right where we left off. Flashcards are still flying, and the next topic that came up is one that's got some people scratching their heads lately. Who's going to be the long-term center for the Boston Celtics? Now, this is a legitimate question. Right now, if you look up and down the roster, you don't see a clear-cut answer. You've got Kristaps Porzingis, and when healthy, he's a fantastic piece. But long-term, he's already got mileage on him. Injuries have been a consistent storyline in his career. He's not exactly your reliable Ironman, Al Horford a legend, but he's deep into his 30s and clearly on the back end of his career. Luke Kornet, great rotation piece, plays hard, knows his role. But let's be real, not your franchise cornerstone at the 5. So where's the answer? Some fans are hopeful about Amari Williams, the recent second-round pick, and hey, who knows? Every year, someone from the bottom of the draft surprises everybody. There's always that chance you strike gold. But relying on that, that's a gamble, and a pretty big one. It's way too early to tell if Williams is that guy, and chances are the Celtics are going to have to look elsewhere if they want a reliable long-term solution at the center position. And here's where things get interesting. The Celtics are operating under some tight financial constraints. We're talking second apron restrictions, limited flexibility, and very little wiggle room to make big moves. But as time passes, those restrictions start to loosen up a bit, and when they do, the front office could have more options to pull off a major trade. That's where the future center might come from. You've got players like Anthony Simons who might be used as part of a trade package down the line. Simons is talented, young, and could be attractive to teams looking to reset or shift their roster. The Celtics could bundle contracts together, match salary, and maybe, just maybe, make a move for a younger, more durable defensive-minded center who fits this team's long-term plans. That kind of deal won't come easy, but if there's one thing we've learned about Brad Stevens, it's that he's always working the angles, quietly, patiently, surgically. But until that moment arrives, Boston's going to keep patching the position with veterans and short-term options. It's not ideal, but it's also not panic mode. Because when you have players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in their prime, you can afford to build around them piece by piece. They buy you time. And maybe this becomes a next summer project. Maybe the team rides out this year with what they've got, leans into the current roster, and reassesses after another deep playoff run. Or a disappointing one. A lot depends on how Porzingis holds up. If he stays healthy and dominates, maybe you roll with him a little longer. If he goes down again or the durability questions resurface, then yeah, the clock starts ticking a little louder. From there, the conversation pivoted to another roster question that's been bubbling lately. Can Peyton Pritchard be the starting point guard by the 2025-2026 season? That's a tough one, not because Pritchard isn't talented, he is, but because Derek White exists. And Derek White is one of the most underrated two-way guards in the league right now. Smart, efficient, excellent defensively. Plays well off the ball and has a strong rapport with the core players. It's hard to imagine a scenario where he's not your starting point guard unless there's an injury or a massive roster shakeup. But if you're asking whether Pritchard can be a starter, sure, he's shown flashes. He's fearless, plays fast, and brings energy. And depending on how the roster shapes up, it's possible he earns that shot. But again, there's a difference between can and will. The rotation might work better with him coming off the bench balancing minutes, with Derek keeping the offense flowing when the starters sit. In today's NBA, having that second unit guard who can lead without drop-off is huge. And maybe that's where Pritchard thrives. And let's not forget, the Celtics aren't exactly flush with bench depth right now, which brought up another card improving the bench. That's a serious priority, especially for a team that's expected to contend. The starters are elite, no question, but once you get past the top 6 or 7, things get murky. That's where the front office has been working overtime, digging through the bargain bin and hunting for undervalued assets, guys like Neemias Queta, J.D. Davis, and Jordan Walsh. Baylor Shireman, they might not be household names, but that's the point. The Celtics are betting on development, fit, and system over splashy signings. It's like Brad Stevens is shopping with a tight budget. He's already got the fancy suit. Now he's just trying to find the right shoes and tie to make the whole thing work. These low-cost, high-upside pickups could be crucial, especially once those Tatum and Brown contracts start dominating the salary cap. Boston needs players who can contribute without costing a fortune. And if one or two of these guys hit, that's a massive win. You saw it during Summer League. Those minutes aren't just for show. They're evaluations. Can these young guys play within the system? Do they defend? Can they hit open shots? Do they make smart decisions? It's not about lighting up the scoreboard. It's about fitting into a championship culture. If a Baylor Shireman or Jordan Walsh can carve out real rotation minutes, that's a game changer. All of this ties into the idea that Boston's window is now, but the future still matters. There's a balancing act happening behind the scenes. Contend today, build quietly for tomorrow. That's not easy to do, but so far Stevens and his team have been threading the needle pretty well. Then we got hit with a card that lightened the mood a bit. Jason Tatum's Jordans versus Jaylen Brown's OVR sneakers. Now we're talking. Sneaker debates always bring out strong opinions. And here's the thing, both shoes are cool, but they couldn't be more different in style and philosophy. Tatum's kicks are slick. They've got that polished Jordan brand shine, backed by one of the most iconic names in basketball. Big-time design teams, elite tech, and bear-ready style. It's got performance, comfort, and that off-theory cool factor. You see them in stores and they pop. You know exactly what you're getting, a product that's been engineered, tested, and marketed to perfection. Jaylen's shoes, they're different, more raw, more personal. The Rovers come with a DIY aesthetic, and that's by design. They don't have the big corporate engine behind them, but they've got heart. They're an extension of who Jaylen is, thoughtful, independent, driven to carve his own lane. That alone gives them a kind of authenticity that you just don't see in most athletics and footwear. A few Celtics players have worn the ROVers. Even Peyton Pritchard laced them up before his Converse deal, and not because he was getting paid. He liked them, said they were comfortable. That says a lot. If your teammates are rocking your sneakers without a contract involved, that's respect. That's validation. Aesthetically, yeah, the Tatum line probably wins right now. Clean design, bold colors, built for mass appeal. But Jaylen's line is in its early stages. Fur-skin shoes are always a little rough around the edges. The second and third versions, that's where things usually start to click. And with Jaylen involved in every part of the process from design to production, you know improvements are coming. But even more than that, Jaylen's whole approach speaks to a bigger vision. He's not just trying to be a businessman, he's trying to empower. To show that athletes can take control, build something from the ground up, and do it on their own terms. He's been out there this summer working with hosting events, speaking to youth, pushing forward with his foundation. The man's not just talking, he's living it. That authenticity, it translates. It makes the ROVers more than just a shoe. It makes them part of a story, and that story's still being written. From there, things turned a bit more serious again, back to health concerns. One card asked, what worries you more, Jaylen Brown's near-injury moments or Jason Tatum's Achilles recovery? And look, this one's not really up for debate. Tatum's Achilles is the answer. An Achilles injury is one of those red flags in the NBA that immediately changes how a career is viewed. It's a huge deal. And even though all signs right now point to a steady recovery, it's the kind of thing That lingers in the back of your mind until he's back on the court looking like himself. Jaylen's bumps and bruises scary in the moment, sure, but nothing long-term so far. Tatum's situation, that's franchise-altering if it goes wrong. So yeah, that's the one we're all watching closely. And then just when you think the flashcards have run out of steam, we pulled one more, the good and the bad, of Joe Matsula's past season. This one's always going to stir conversation. Let's start with the good, because Joe deserves credit. He stepped into an impossible situation when he first got the job. He was young and inexperienced and thrown into a championship-contending team with high expectations. And despite all that, he kept the ship steady. He leaned into the talent, gave his stars room to shine, and let the offense flow. And for the most part, it worked. But here's where the criticism comes in, and it's valid. At times, you could feel the lack of polish. The lack of those little details that make a great team unbeatable. Boston didn't cut enough off-ball. They didn't move enough without the rock. Too many possessions relied on isolation and individual talent, and when things tightened up in the playoffs, those bad habits showed up. Fans would scream at their screens, "Why aren't we making simple cuts? Why is everyone standing around?" It wasn't about effort. It was about structure, about emphasis, and that falls on coaching. But here's the thing, Joe is evolving. You can see it. He's more comfortable in the spotlight. He's doing more media, showing more personality, letting people see the quirky, intense, borderline madman side of him, and the players seem to respond to it. He's not trying to be someone he's not. He's leaning into who he is. That kind of authenticity matters. It's easy to forget that he's still learning to, still growing. But there's something special brewing. You can feel it. He's got the trust of the front office, the backing of the stars, and now a full year of experience under his belt. And that's where we'll leave it for now. Flashcards done, questions asked, answers given. But with the season creeping closer and the Celtics in prime position, the real answers will come soon enough, on the court, under the lights, when it matters most. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The basketball world is buzzing with one of the most sensational rumors circulating this offseason. Jaylen Brown, the Boston Celtics star wing, might be on the move, and not just anywhere, but to the Brooklyn Nets in what insiders are calling an Armageddon trade scenario. While nothing is official yet, whispers from multiple sources suggest that a blockbuster deal could shake the NBA landscape to its core, potentially reshaping two of the league's most competitive Eastern Conference contenders. Jaylen Brown has been a cornerstone of the Celtics' resurgence, combining athleticism, scoring ability, and defensive prowess to make Boston a perennial playoff threat. His rise from a promising young talent to a bona fide star has been one of the league's most compelling stories over the past few years. Now the chatter is that the Celtics might be willing to part ways with Brown to accelerate a rebuild or pivot their roster dynamics, and Brooklyn could be the ideal landing spot.